இது கொஞ்சம் அப்படியே பிடிங்க முன்னாடி வச்சுக்கணும். கொஞ்சம் ஃபேஸ் பெருசாக வரும்.
எங்கே வைக்கணும்?
கொஞ்சம் அவ்வளோ.
ஓகே. ஆமாம், லாஸ்ட் டைம் இது பண்ண அதை வச்சு ப்ளஸ் கொடுத்து
லைவ்ல தான் இருக்கு.
Assalam.
गोपाल ஆரம்பிக்கலாமா ஒன்று சொல்ல பாட்டு கேட்டுருக்காங்க பாட்டு கேட்டுருக்காங்க இல்லை பாட்டு முடிச்சோம்னா பேசிக்கிறாரு
ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Dear devotees, today we shall discuss another monastic disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, that is Swami Subodhanandaji Maharaj. Familiarly, all the brother disciples used to address him as Khoka Maharaj. Khoka in Bengali means a small child. He was a childish, not childish, he was a childlike behavior, always, and he was loved by one and all. They all used to call him Khoka, Khoka. That means, oh child, like that. Every disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, they had a special character. Each one was special in his own way. What marked him out from the other disciples of Master was his childlike simplicity. Let us start with one of his teachings. A devotee puts a question to him. That is in the later years when he was Swami Subodhananda, and among all the 16 monastic disciples, they had started this ashrama, Baranagar, Alambazar, later on Berumat. So, when he was quite aged, many devotees used to come to Swami Subodhananda because it was very, very easy to approach him. He was very simple by nature, and everybody used to treat them very lovingly and affectionately. So, he puts a question, Swamiji, why can't we give our mind to God? This a very familiar question. This is the usually all the monks or all the devotees when they go to monks, the advice which they give, what is the general advice? The general advice is think of God, pray to God, meditate on God. Only these things will bring you peace of mind to you. Ultimately, if you want peace, you have to take recourse to any of these things. So a devotee asks, Swamiji, but we find it very difficult to keep our mind in God. You tell us, think of Him, meditate on him, do japam on him, constantly keep the presence of God in your mind. This is the advice which usually any monk for that matter gives instruction to the devotees who come to them. So Swamiji says, your mind has been scattered onto so many objects from your very childhood. He's a very practical Swami. He says, why are we not able to keep our mind on God? In spite we try. In spite we want to keep our mind on God, but unfortunately we are unable. We fail. Very often we fail and then we give it up. So why it happens? So he gives the reason because you just go on observing your own life from your childhood. From your childhood, now you have become probably 30 years or 40 years or 50 years or 60 or even old age. Now you want to keep your mind on God because of so much of experience, you have understood if you want to have peace of mind, you have to think of God. That is why Sri Ramakrishna used to insist. And he also used to select only the very young boys to train them, to make them monastics, and to make them realize God. Many other devotees, of course, he used to advise them, but he was very, very keen on selecting the young boys for spiritual instructions. So he's from the young age, we have not bothered about either God or spiritual practice. Only when we get blows in our lives and when we start going to a monastery, or an ashrama, or a temple, or to a guru, or to some sadhus, then only we start thinking what is the way to get peace of mind. Then only the gurus or the sadhus also will tell you, think of God. Then we find it also very difficult. It is our experience. It is not at all easy to sit in a place and meditate for 5 minutes. Mind wanders here and there. Why? So here Swami Subodhananda is giving the reason. He says, your mind has been scattered onto so many objects from your very childhood. That is why now it is very difficult to concentrate on God. By constant practice only. Abhyasena the kaunteya, vairagyena the grishyate. When Arjuna also complained to Lord Krishna, understanding on the battlefield, how it is difficult to control the mind, how to control the mind. It is not at all possible, it is like a wind. Just like wind goes on blowing here, there, and all those things. Our mind also wanders so much. Now what is to be done? Why I am not been able to do? Then Krishna says, yes, what you say is true. It is very difficult to control the mind, but it can be controlled. How? By abhyasa and vairagya. Two are the solutions, which is there. Patanjali also in his Yoga Sutra says, abhyasa vairagyabhyam tannirodha. The control of the mind is possible by practice and keeping the mind in control. Abhyasa and vairagya, that is dispassion. By practice and dispassion. Dispassion means now for the present. At least during the meditation, let me not have any desires in my mind. Let me think only of the God. And by constantly, repeatedly practicing, abhyasa means repeated practice. And vairagya means we should understand that there is nothing in this world which brings peace and happiness. Only through meditation we should get it. If these two things go deep into our heart, then it becomes possible, Krishna says. Here also the Swamiji is telling, now you are feeling it difficult because from your young age, childhood, you have so many objects from your mind. In your mind, so many desires, so many hankering, so many wants, all the unfulfilled desires has fully occupied our mind. So, since the mind has scattered here and there, so the disciple again asks, why does the mind become scattered? Scattered onto so many things? Why it is like that? Why it is not been able to concentrate on one object? The Swami again Maharaj says, desires, desires, various types of desires pull the mind in various directions. So your mind is full of desires. All those desires are dragging you here and there, taking you here and there. That's why you are not being able to concentrate. So you find out this is the reason. Once you find out the reason for it, then we will be able to find out the solution. So reduce the desires and put it on towards the God. You should have concentration of mind means more and more thoughts of God should fill up our mind. By doing that, you will be able to do it, he said. It is really one of the teachings of Swami Subodhananda in his later days. There are a number of teachings. We shall see as many as possible. Anyway, first let us see how his life started, how he came to Sri Ramakrishna. The Swami Subodhanandaji, his pre-monastic name also was Subodh. From the Subodh only, Swamiji made him Swami Subodhanandaji. And Subodha Chandra Ghosh was his name. Sri Ramakrishna, by seeing his simplicity and open-mindedness, used to call him as Koka. Koka means little child, as I told you earlier. He was like a little child. Throughout his life, he was like that only. He was born in 1867. That is, Swamiji was born in 1863. 4 years after that, they are all of almost same age, you can say. All this Ramakrishna has selected boys except Swami. One Swami was a very senior Swami, except one is an elderly man. Apart from that, Gopal Maharaj was called. Except him, all were very young boys. So he was born in 1867, and his family, this family had owned a temple, Mother Kali's temple. One of the temple's owner was this family. So it is called a Siddheshwari Kali temple. And it was a place where actually Sri Ramakrishna, as a Gadadhar, when he first came to Calcutta, with his brother he was staying, it was a very nearby place. So Sri Ramakrishna himself has gone to the Siddheshwari Kali temple many times. Now, this family was, the owning the temple itself shows that they were very devoted people. And also, the Subodh Maharaj, or Swami Subodhanandaji, he came from a very aristocratic family. That means full of plenty of wealth was there. In spite of that, he was born, even though he was born in an aristocratic family, his mind was always towards God, devotion. He used to regularly visit his own temple, that Mother Kali's temple, and then mother also was very devoted. She used to tell him lot of devotional stories. Now you see, when you put a samskara to the young mind, that's why we always insist and advise our devotees. Now, whether you become spiritual or not, it does not matter. But the children at home, you give them good samskara. Good samskara means that is telling the truth and also praying to God every day without fail. As soon as you get up, first you pray to God. We should teach the children. Once we teach and it becomes a habit, then samskara will remain in their minds throughout their life. So what are all the good things you teach them, these children, then automatically it will go into their blood and it will remain always in their minds and their life will be good. So first, not only the academic education, not only the modern things which you want to give them and all those things are all right, but it should all be based on the samskara, that is the spiritual things in their lives, even as an young age, even in their young age. If that is given to them, then you will see how nicely these children will grow. And also, you will have to teach them from the very young age that they should have respect to their elders. If you can, if it is possible, Nowadays it has totally disappeared. All the young children, if you teach them, they should bow down to their parents once in a while. That are every day when you get up, make it a point, make it a habit, touch the feet of your parents and take their blessings. Now, this has become very common in our education and institutions where we have at hostels. There where we do on Vidyarthi Homa. That is, when they come, all the students are assembled and a homa is performed, and certain simple things we teach them. They tell that mantra and put the bilva leaves. And another important thing which we do in that Vidyarthi Homa is we also compulsorily invite the parents. They all should come, and they all will be sitting there in one place on the chairs. And these students, that is their sons, they all, after performing this homa, after this yajna is performed, they have to go and touch the feet of the parents and also do pada puja. That is a simple puja to their parents. Parent father is God. Matrudevo bhava, Pitrudevo bhava, Acharya Devo bhava. These three are the Vedic mantras which we all know. That is, look upon your mother as God. Look upon your father as God. Look upon your guru as God. These three are very important things. It is a great meaning. If they have such respect to their parents, when these children may be of 10 years, 12 years, 16 years, 18 years, their college students also are there, you see. They all will have to go and touch their parents' feet and do a small arati to them, put some flowers at their feet and bow down and get their blessings. At that time, you should see most of the parents, there will be tears in their eyes. They will be shedding tears. Oh, my child is touching my feet. That they never imagined. And children also feel, oh, they are not ordinary people. They are not only our parents, they are God in my parent form. They feel that. So it's a very beautiful scene. Then in some of the hostels, if you have any opportunity on that Vidyarthi Homa day, you go and see that what a beautiful atmosphere is created, what reverence is created for the children towards their parents. So this has to be done, cultivated in our own houses actually when the children are very young. If you can do that, you will see those children, those who have done for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years like that, throughout their life, they will have a separate, special respect toward their parents. So this is the important thing. So here also the Subodhanandaji had that this one from the young age. His mother, she used to tell him lot of devotional stories. First of all, nowadays, parents themselves do not know scriptures. They do not know these devotional stories. So that habit has totally gone. In the night, especially when the children are 8 years, 10 years, naturally they lie. Mother should lie down with them till the child sleeps and tell some stories. And if that stories are told of Prahlada, Dhruva, how many stories we have, children, Abhimanyu, all great stories are there. If we can tell those children, it will go deep into their hearts, and the characters of these great devotees will also form a character of our own children. So, this mother, Subodha and his mother, she used to tell a lot of devotional stories. Now, and he learned a lot of those things, and that influence was so much from the young age in Subodhananda. And also he had another great character that he was never like he had never liked to get married in life. From the young age, he had aversion towards married life. So he used to say, no, I will never marry in my life. Don't open such talks, because in those days, even young age, marriage and young age itself was very common. But Subodhanandaji used to tell his parents, I will never, Subodh at that time, I will never marry in my life, he used to say. Now, and he was staying, his birthplace was Calcutta only. So he joined the Vidyasagar school. Vidyadeva Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar at a school. In that school, at that time, in the beginning actually, Master Mahashay was the headmaster. We all know who is Master Mahashay, the author of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and his our he used to tell about Sri Ramakrishna invariably some teachings to his students. Not only that, his father, our Subodhan's father's name was Krishnadas, and he was a member of the Brahma Samaj. In those days, Keshav Chandra Sen's Brahma Samaj had a great influence on the society. Many young people used to become the devotees of Balram, this Brahma Samaj. So Keshav Chandra Sen. So there, one day he heard about Keshav Chandra Sen talking about Sri Ramakrishna. Keshav Chandra Sen was, as we all know, he was a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, a follower of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna also loved him very much, and Keshav also used to love and respect Sri Ramakrishna very much. Now, Master Mahasaya also naturally used to talk about the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna to the students, and this Subodh Das or Subodhan in the later days, that Subodh also became very much interested in Sri Ramakrishna. He was very eager to one day I should go and see. And he had a friend, with his friend Kritish, his name. He wanted to go and meet Sri Ramakrishna. Both of them they planned, but they were also afraid in the house they may not permit to go to Dakshineshwar and meet Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and all. So one day after the school time, they went and they had to walk a long distance. They did not know where is Dakshineshwar. Still inquiring by a long distance, and sometimes on the way they lost the road. Then again they came back. It took them about 2 to 3 hours to reach the Dakshineshwar. Then at last, anyhow, they reached the Sri Ram Dakshineshwar, and this both the friends they went, and Subodh's friend went straight to Sri Ramakrishna and bowed down to him. And this boy, Subodh, naturally he was a little shy. He was standing near the door. Then Sri Ramakrishna asked that boy, why is the another boy standing near the door? Call him inside. Then he fearfully he came near the Sri Ramakrishna. But after talking to Sri Ramakrishna, he felt, oh, why was I afraid to talk? He so sweetly he talks, and so with consideration he asked. And he also asked him, where from you come? Who is your father, mother, and all? When he heard the name of his father, he said, oh, I know him very well. I have visited your home. Probably at that time you were not yet even born. I had gone there. I know him very well. He is a very nice devotee. Then I knew, Sri Ramakrishna also said one thing. I knew that one day or other he will come here. So Bodhandi became surprised. Then he asked her, then why did you not call me earlier itself? Why so much, after so many days I am coming to you? Then Mother Sri Ramakrishna laughed and says, everything happens only at the right time. Time has to come. Now time has come. And he had his own way of knowing the nature of the people, nature of the boys or nature of the elderly people and all. His way of knowing was he used to hold their hands and weigh them, or he will hold it for some time and he will study and then he will tell. And he held his hand and said, oh, Mother says, you will attain the grace of the mother, you will become a good devotee. Mother says, he said. So Subodhan was surprised on what basis he is telling. Mother is telling, Mother means Mother Kali is telling. So he was, because it was the first meeting, he got little this one, and then even then they went on talking for a long time, and afterwards Maharaj Sri Ramakrishna, in his usual way, he said, come again, come again. Then when they started, he inquired them, how are you going? Then they said, we are going by walk. No. You take money, you take some money and go either by boat No, boat I won't go. Subodhan said, why? No, I don't know swimming. I'm very much afraid of water. Then Sri Ramakrishna laughed. And then he said, all right, you go by a horse carriage, engage a carriage and go. But his friend was ready to take money. But Subodhanji said, no, we should not take money from a sadhu. Where from he will get? And he told Sri Ramakrishna straight away, where will you get money? How will you give us money? We should not become burden to you. Sri Ramakrishna laughed and said, no, some devotees come here. They keep some money here and go only for the purpose of giving to the poor people or giving to the people who have no money to return back. So you take this from that money, you can go there. But he refused. Then he said, no, we would like to go by walk. And then the both of them, they went by walking itself. Second, after once, whoever used to come to Sri Ramakrishna used to get naturally attracted. And especially the people who have a devotion, people are inclined, people are who are to want to realize God. Such people's minds Sri Ramakrishna used to attract. He both came back to home. He did not tell where he went and all, but he was very late, and when his mother persisted, then he said, I went to Dakshineshwar. But don't tell others, they may scold me. Mother did not tell anybody, but she was happy internally. He has gone to a good place, not to a cinema or a circus or somewhere. He has gone to Dakshineshwar temple. She was internally happy. Then what happened? Then Sri Ram, second visit. After that, it was a Monday or Tuesday. Then the Saturday, again they planned, both of them, we shall go to Dakshineshwar today. And immediately after the half a day school is the Saturday. So immediately after school, they started again walking. It's a very long distance. Even then, they walked the distance and went to Sri Ramakrishna. Then after Sri Ramakrishna being a Saturday, lot of devotees had come. The Sri Ramakrishna's room was filled. They were standing outside the room. Sri Ramakrishna noticed these two boys are standing. Then immediately he told the devotees, you wait here, I will come. And he got up, he came out, took these two boys into there are 12 Shiva temples in the Dakshineshwar, you see. So in one of the Shiva temples, on the steps, he made them sit, and then he told them, you show me your chest. And both of them showed their chest, removing the buttons of their shirts. And then Sri Ramakrishna wrote something on the chest, and then he told, open your mouth, push out your tongue. They did like that. Then he wrote something on the tongue. And immediately they entered into a trance. They lost their external consciousness and a great bliss. For a few minutes, they did not know themselves where they were, and like a statue they sat there, and then they immersed in the samadhi. Then Sri Ramakrishna again touched their chest, and they came back to the consciousness, and then Sri Ramakrishna then took them to his room and made some place for them also to sit in that crowded room. Then he told, see, after inquiring, he said, you see, you are staying very near our Master Mahashay's house. So better, Mahendra's house is very near, very close to yours. So why did you not call on him? Subodh replied, he has not been able to renounce his family. What could I learn about God from him? He felt he is a married man. He himself is leading a household life. What he can teach, or what is there for me to learn from him? So I don't like to go there. And he did not go there also for a long time. But he did not know what Master Mahasaya was. So Sri Ramakrishna was insisting, no. Sri Ramakrishna, he laughed and said, oh, he told Rakal, did you hear what this rascal Koka said? He was pleased to see Subodh so stern in his renunciation, but he said, he won't talk about himself. He told him, you do not know about Master Mahasaya. He won't talk about himself. He will only tell you what he has learned from me. So don't hesitate to go to him. After a couple of days, when Subodh finally went there to see him, he relayed the conversation in his blunt way. Yam said humbly, "It is quite true." Because he told to Master Mahesh also, "You are a householder. You are not renounced the world. I want to go realize God. My path is different. I want renunciation. So what can you teach me?" Then Master Mahashay, he became very happy for his frank talk. Then he said, mm, he very humbly he said, "It is very quite true, my boy. I am nobody, but I live beside the ocean of knowledge and bliss, and I keep a few pitchers of that water with me. When a guest comes, I offer that to him. So what else am I to talk?" Nothing to talk of my own or my own teachings or this or anything. I go often to Sri Ramakrishna, and whatever he tells, I store it in my memory. I keep it in my mind. The same thing I repeat, nothing more than that. So Yempa continued talking and shared his experiences with his young student. You see, after I met the master, all my university education became insignificant. When I got my degree, I felt I had learned everything in this world. But after I talked to the master, I realized that all my academic knowledge was nothing but ignorance. That knowledge is true knowledge which removes ignorance and helps me to attain Brahman. This one sentence of the master's removed my pride of learning, Subodhanji writes. I wondered how people could become proud of these trivial university degrees. After some pleasant hours, Subodh took his leave. Thus did Sri Ramakrishna seal the bond of friendship and love among his disciples. That is how Sri Ramakrishna was training the children wherever they are. They should meet the people who talk of God, who think of God, who talk of renunciation. And after some years, Subodhanandi used to go regularly to Sri Ramakrishna. One day, as usual, Sri Ramakrishna put him the question, "What do you think of me?" Subodhanandi was perplexed. He did not know what to answer. Then he kept quiet. Years later, he understood what Sri Ramakrishna used to ask this question only to know how much I have progressed in my spiritual life. By my answer, he used to measure how much I have this one other thing. So, and Sri Ramakrishna's last days come. Till then, he was very regularly going to Sri Ramakrishna and learned so many things. And Sri Ramakrishna was finishing his divine play at the temple garden of Dakshineshwar. He put all his energy into training the young boys. Sometimes Subodh would arrive at Dakshineshwar at noon, having walked all the way from school in the hot sun. He had a strong desire to serve his guru. While fanning the master, he would feel that all his fatigue had gone. The master could not bear for Subodh to fan him while standing. So he asked him to sit on his bed and fan him. Like a loving father, at times the master took the palm leaf fan himself and fanned Subodh. Sometimes he would talk to Subodh about japa, meditation, and brahmacharya, that is celibacy, and would also test his faith and devotion. On one occasion, the master touched Subodh's body and blessed him. "Today I have taken away the lust from your mind." And another day, he held his hand, and for a few minutes he was holding. Then he left. Then there was joyful tears in master's eyes. Subodhanji was not understanding Subodh at that time. He asked, "Sir, what are you thinking?" Then master said, "No, today Divine Mother told me that you will realize God." So he became so happy, Subodh, that he directly from the Mother Kali, Sri Ramakrishna has heard that I am fortunate that one day or other I will be realizing God. So that made him very, very happy, and he felt himself very blessed. Mm. In the beginning, Subodh did not accept the master as an avatara or divine incarnation. One day the master asked him, "What do you think of me?" Subodh replied, "People say many different things about you. I won't believe any of them until I find clear proof." You may remember the same answer Swami Vivekananda also used to give to Sri Ramakrishna. One day Sri Ramakrishna tells Narayan, "Narayan, you see all the many of the people who come here, they say that I am an incarnation of God. What do you think?" Then Swamiji boldly replies, "Sir, the whole world may say that you are this, that and all those things. But I myself, unless I myself experience directly, I won't accept you as a God." Sri Ramakrishna just laughs and he doesn't get angry and he does not say anything. He just laughs and keeps quiet. So here also he says, then Sri Ramakrishna became very happy. Then he says, Subodh said, "People say many different things about you. I don't believe any of them until I find clear proof." But this the master who was egoless said, "Very well. As a money as a money changer checks a coin, likewise accept me after testing." In a letter written many years later, Swami Subodhananda said of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, if they don't want to reveal themselves, who can recognize them?" As he grew closer and closer to the Master, his belief in Sri Ramakrishna's divinity gradually gained strength. One day when the master advised Subodh to practice meditation, he replied, "Sir, I won't be able to do that. If I have to practice meditation, why should I come to you? I may as well go to some other guru." Understanding his inner feeling, the master said, "All right, you will not have to practice meditation, but think of me in the morning and evening." This thing we should remember for ourselves. One of the greatest teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, that what he said, if you want to realize God, if you cannot meditate, if you cannot do any penance, but at least simply think of me once in the morning and once in the evening. This we find Sri Ramakrishna telling to some of the important devotees, both householders and monastic disciples, think of me, think of me. If you can, even to Girish Chandra Ghosh, I told, think of God once in the morning, once in the evening, you will realize God. Girish refuses that also. "I do not know. I'm a drunkard. I don't know when it's the morning, when it's evening. I can't give word like that." Then Sri Ramakrishna tells, "All right, totally surrender to me. I will take care of all your things." That Girish was ready. He totally surrendered to Sri Ramakrishna, and that was his spiritual practice. And that is what we have to do it. We should never forget to think of Sri Ramakrishna. We all know we are very ordinary human beings. We cannot practice hard austerities, spiritual practices. We cannot hours together sit and meditate or think of him constantly. At least this one thing, that is, before, as soon as we get up, if we can think of that blissful master, Sri Ramakrishna, sitting in front of us and blessing us. Imagine that he is blessing us, and bow down to him. And again, in the night, what all you have done the whole day, offer it to Sri Ramakrishna's feet. Before going to bed, think of Sri Ramakrishna. Think of Sri Ramakrishna morning, think of Sri Ramakrishna in the evening, then you will see Sri Ramakrishna himself will make you that you will be constantly thinking of him in spite of your, in the midst of your all your activities. So this is a great teaching Sri Ramakrishna has given to us through Swami Subodhanandaji. He says, you will not have to practice a meditation, but think of me in the morning and the evening. It was not easy to live with Sri Ramakrishna. He could see the inside and outside of his disciples, just as a person sees books inside a glass bookcase. So none could hide anything from him. This is another great character of Master. Anybody looking at them, if you want to see his whole mind of that person, what he is thinking, what he is doing, what is samskara, everything he could see, and he used to correct. He used to remove all the bad things from their minds and make them pure and make them constantly think of him. On another occasion, the master told me, Subodhanji says, about himself, this body is a cage of flesh and bone, but the mother is playing inside it. Who was Sri Ramakrishna? Sri Ramakrishna was nothing but divine Mother Kali. Mother Kali, in the heart, externally maybe looking at Sri Ramakrishna, but internally what was there? Nothing but Mother Kali, nothing but Mother Kali, an incarnation of Mother Kali. He says this body is a cage of flesh and bone, but the mother is playing inside it. He who was Rama and Krishna is living in this body. This he has told to many of the monastic disciples. One was Narayan on the deathbed. Sri Ramakrishna tells him, he who had come as Rama and who had come as Krishna has now come in this body as Ramakrishna. It tells him, and also many another 2-3 monastic disciples they said, and one of them was Swami Subodhanandaji. Here he says to him, this body is cage of flesh and bone, but the mother is playing inside it. He who was Rama and Krishna is living in this body. That is what he told to Swami Subodhanandaji. During one visit, Subodhanji says, knowing about the recent aggravation of the master's throat pain, Subodh said, Sir, you used to live in a damp room in Dakshineshwar. As a result, it seems you have a sore throat because of the cold. Now, Subodhanji was, as we said, is very simple by heart. One day, when nobody is there, Sri Ramakrishna was in his bed suffering from throat cancer. Then he comes and he tells, Sir, I know a medicine. You please take that. Then you will be cured. I can assure you, you will be cured of this cancer disease. Sri Ramakrishna himself was like a child. He used to believe everybody. Then he tells Koka, oh, is it so? What is that medicine? Tell me, today itself I will get. Then he said, no, sir, it is not so difficult. It is only a tea. Now, if you can, please take tea. Whenever we have some sore throats, we drink tea and the soreness goes away. Now, immediately, the child like Sri Ramakrishna called Rakal and said, look, I want to drink tea. This boy says that I will be cured if I drink tea. Rakal laughingly said, Sir, tea is very hot. It may aggravate the pain in your throat. You may not be able to bear it. No, then it is not necessary. Then he calls Subodh and says, you see, Subodh, Rakal says, tea is not good for my throat, so I don't drink. You will not mind, isn't it? Subodh Maharaj, because Rakal Maharaj said when he heard, then immediately, yes, Gurudev, please don't drink tea. So Sri Ramakrishna was there, childlike. And another incident he narrates, on the 11th December 1885, Sri Ramakrishna was moved from Shampukur to Kashipur. One day the master asked Subodh to copy a devotional song, Sitapati Ramachandra, Raghupati Raghurai, etc., composed by Saint Tulsidas. But Subodh declined, saying that his handwriting was not good enough. The master insisted, please copy that song. It does not matter whether your writing is good or bad. When the boy still would not agree, the master said, you are really a dumbbell. And neglecting your studies, you only played with your friends. Being thus reprimanded, Subodh smiled. The master also laughed and then said, my boy, are you not upset that I scolded you? Subodh replied, Sir, even your scoldings are sweet. The master then joyfully called his other disciple and said, Boys, listen to what this boy says. He says that even my scoldings are sweet. Before he left, the master blessed Subodh by touching his head. The so many incidents which you do not find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you find in the mouth of Swami Subodhananji. Subodhananji narrated the following incident about Sri Ramakrishna's last illness. He says, it was extremely difficult for the master to talk. One day I said to him, Sir, if you wish, you can get well. Please cure yourself. The master then asked me, Do you really believe that? Yes, I do believe that, I replied. What you have said is true, the master said, but I shall not try to save this body which is made out of flesh and bone, blood and marrow. Whatever is out of flesh and bone, blood and marrow, whatever is created is subject to destruction. Then he said to me, Promise that you will never ask me this again. Thus, the master made me promise. So, Swamiji also narrates to him also he gives the same answer. So, one day at Kashipur, Subodh privately asked the master to bless him so that he could realize God. Ramakrishna affectionately patted his back thrice and said, Yes, yes, you will realize God. And in the future, many people will learn from you. We will see later on lot of devotees thronging to Swami Subodhananji Maharaj to hear his sweet words. He was really a Koka means a child. All his very simple teachings, very sweetly he talks, but by his simple teachings and sweet words, he used to give them realization. He could give realization just like his master by touch or by a blessing. That's why all the devotees used to flock to Subodhanji Maharaj. Even though he gave up his education, he did not study much. That school education itself was lost. Then he came to Sri Ramakrishna and started staying with him. So Sri Ramakrishna passed away on 16th August 1886. When Subodh heard of the master's death, he uh, cried out while holding his mother and then fell unconscious. His father ordered that water be splashed over his head and face to return him to consciousness. Subodh did not go to Kashipur either because of his family's resistance or because he thought that the grief and pain would be too much for him to bear. He was then 19 years old. Then he was from the very birth, he was endowed with the passion of God and dispassion for the world. So after his Guru's passing away, the fire of renunciation was rekindled in his heart. So he comes to Baranagar Mutt and he starts staying with the other monastic disciples, and along with them he goes to the many times pilgrimage, doing a hard, austere life, leading a austere life, but always thinking of God, thinking of his master. And he also had many visions of his master, assuring him that he will definitely realize God. And thus life goes on, and there are a number of plenty of reminiscences of Swami Subodhananji Maharaj by his devotees, and ultimately he started initiating people because of their force and all the Swamiji's instruction. He started initiating devotees. Many people became his disciples. Many of them have written their reminiscences, and also there are a number of spiritual teachings of Swami Subodhananji Maharaj. The next Friday we shall see some of the teachings and also some of the reminiscences, and such a simple-hearted man. By that we understand one thing: what we need for the realization of God is simplicity. Neither learning, nor ego, nor our power, nor the wealth. All these things become zero. If you can lead a life in a very simple manner, simplicity is there in your heart. Within our heart, you must be very, very simple. And our talk must be very simple. And if that becomes the character of ours, we also will be able to realize God or get the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna and make our life very blissful, happy, and otherworldly. That is, our life also will be godly, just like this Swami Subodhananji Maharaj. Next week, we shall see some of his teaching, some of the reminiscences, and then go on to the another monastic disciples. Thank you.
Sanjit, thank you.